She's known as Europe's Queen of Crime. Swedish crime writing sensation Camilla has sold 12 million copies in 55 countries. Welcome. Oh my goodness, do those numbers blow you away, or are you kind of all good with that now?
No, they do blow me away, and it feels really bizarre because I still kind of feel like it's only my mother who reads my books.
Clearly not. And the amazing thing is that Sweden has a population of 9 million, and 4.5 million books have been sold there.
Yeah.
It's 1 in 2.
It's I really can't believe it sometimes. It's really weird.
Prime Minister as well reads your books.
Yeah, the Prime Minister likes my books. He does.
It's so cool. So when did you get into it? How did you get into it? Have you always had a love of crime?
I've always had a love of crime. Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a writer, and not only a writer, but a crime writer.
Okay.
And when all the little girls were reading about horses, I was reading about serial killers. So I've always been very morbid.
But you didn't start on that road because you actually were an economist before you started to write full time.
Well, for me, writing and becoming a writer was a rock star dream. It wasn't something I really thought I could do. I didn't think it was possible. So I got a real job instead, degree in business. And
when you talk about rock star, though, I mean, that is basically what you are in Sweden. I mean, because authors are hugely popular, hugely well-known and famous at home for you, eh? Not so much here in New Zealand. We don't have that sort of thing with authors, but
no, something has happened in Sweden during the last 10 years. So for good and bad, we've kind of become celebrities, and we're in the gossip magazines and things like that.
And paparazzi stalking your home and things like that.
Swedish press is quite nice. It's not quite like the UK, but we do get to do a lot of fun stuff. I did Dancing with the Stars 2 years ago.
I know you did, but you're a bit of a dancer anyway, aren't you? Like you know,
that's after the show. That's after the show. So I kept dancing and competing after the show because I got so hooked on it.
Did you?
Yes, it was amazing.
How did you go in the show?
Fourth.
That's good.
Yes, it was.
And had you ever danced much before that?
I haven't danced a single step in my life. I haven't even exercised, so my body was in shock because I started practicing like 7 hours per day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it is. It's tough, isn't it?
It is tough.
The world of reality television, that's just a whole other ball game though, isn't it?
It's tough, and the whole thing with the sequence and the tons of makeup and the big hair and the spray tans.
Oh,
I just loved it. I just loved it.
Absolutely. And also you were married to a guy that won the Swedish equivalent of Survivor?
Yeah, he's actually my second ex-husband. It seems I'm collecting them.
Oh, right, I was an ex now. Sorry about that, didn't know.
No, it's my second. He's a police officer who won actually the world's first Survivor, because Sweden was the first country to air Survivor and produce it. So he's known as Survivor Martin of Sweden because they all have these funny prefixes.
And the two of you, because I'm going to jump onto your new book, Buried Angels. The two of you, in terms of your career as police writer, are sort of, your main characters are based on the two of you, loosely?
Well, the funny thing is that my main characters, Eric is a writer and Patrick is a policeman, but Patrick is actually based on my first husband, who's an economist. So I kind of imitated Erica when I married a police officer, like by book 5 or something, I married Martin.
Wow,
so, but it's very useful as a crime writer to have your own policeman. I can recommend it.
I bet it is. Those late night questions that you need to ask.
Yes, and the uniform is just a bonus.
It always is, isn't it? In terms of, I mean, when you write, do you know, because obviously it's crime that involves murder, death, killers, things like that, do you know who your killer is when you start, or does it take a while to develop for you? Do we generally meet that person in the beginning of the book and then suddenly we sort of work out? How do you like to write?
Well, it's actually one of the few things I know when I start writing a book. It's who the murderer is and what the motive is. I need to know that to know what my final destination is. I have colleagues who find out by half through the book.
I know people like that.
I can never work like that. I need to know where I'm going, but that's about it. I know when I start writing a book.
Yeah, and do you know what's next? I mean, in terms of how many books are left in you, how it works, especially with these characters? Will they continue on? Well,
I've never decided actually that I'm going to write 10 or 15. I'm writing on my 9th at the moment.
Yeah.
I've just always said that I'm going to write about Eric and Patrick as long as I enjoy it, and I do still feel that I have a lot of joy left in writing about them, so I might follow them into the retirement home. I don't know.
That's the joyous thing, you just kind of don't know where it's going to lead you. But you do set them in your hometown, don't you, which I can't pronounce.
Fjällbacka.
That.
It's I'm born there. It's a very, very small coastal town on the west coast of Sweden. It's only 1,000 people who lives there, and my mother still lives there, so it's very much still my base.
Wow. And has it become, I mean, given that 1 in 2 people in Sweden have read your books. Has it become some sort of a touristy type?
It has actually. I mean, it is a tourist town anyway
Yeah.
during the summers. It always has been. But now the international tourism have increased, and there are busloads coming in from all over Europe and other
check
places
it
of the
out.
world. Yeah,
That's
and they have these
cool.
guided tours, which amazes me. They have 12 trained guides, and the place is so small. It's like if you blink, you miss it. So.
Oh my goodness, you need to just pop out of the cafe when they're going past in the bus. That'd be brilliant.
Well, they actually phoned my mother. When there's journalists coming to Fjällbacka and I'm not there, they phone my mother, and she's retired and have absolutely nothing to do, although she always says she's so busy. So she comes, with her little car.
Be
And
so proud of you, though. That's
she is.
really cool. And I know 2 TV series have been made.
Well, there's actually, in a total, I think there's 9 movies that have been made
9 movies
based
have
on
been
my
made.
books, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they're coming to New Zealand, we think it's September.
Oh, how wonderful. You're living the dream, girl.
Oh,
how cool
thank
is that?
you.
It's so fabulous to have you here.
Oh, it's
All the
so
very
great to be
best.
here.
Yeah, and can't wait to read the next one. I'm almost at the end. I'm about like that far.
Oh, I could
So I don't
save you
wanna
some
know-
time and tell
No,
you the
you
killer
won't.
is.
Thank you so much. Look forward to catching up with you again sometime.
Thank you.
Tomorrow on the show, we have got 2 iconic Kiwi stars joining us in the studio. Renee Nofahu is here to celebrate his return to Shorty Street, plus music legend Jan Hellriegel performs. On top of that, Francesca Rudkin's in to review Nicole Kidman's Grace of Monaco, and Simon Holst is in the kitchen doing wonderful things with Afghans. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.